Hello and welcome back to Severe MMA. My name is Ian O'Neill and I have the pleasure today of being joined by Danni Neilan, Bellator flyweight fighter who is fighting on Bellator 270 this weekend, this coming Friday. Danni, thanks for joining me today. We're just about under a week out now from the fight. How are you feeling? You must be excited to get back in there and get back into action as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a strawweight. I wish I was a
strawweight. Sorry.
If I was a flyweight, I'd be eating a big dinner tonight.
Yeah, eating a few spuds.
Feeling good. We're going into quarantine tomorrow, so up to the Gibson tomorrow for like 4 or 5 o'clock or something, and then I suppose locked up in the hotel for the week. So looking.
How long is that? How long do they have you in quarantine? I heard that some of the fighters are quarantined yesterday. So the quarantine will last from tomorrow until what time?
So we get our test results back Monday morning, but I presume they're going to keep us on close watch then as well, because they probably don't want us walking around Dublin and picking up corona during the week.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not going to be too strict, but I imagine we're supposed to be hanging around the Gibson from then until fight night, I guess.
Yeah. So you'll probably be doing a lot of work. Are you confined to your hotel room, or will you have use of the gym, or can you go just roam around the vicinity of the hotel, or is it just confined to your room? Or
so from when I was in Milan there last year, they confined us to the room until we got our test results, and then we were allowed to use a gym area. So I presume they'll have a matted area set up, and they'll just give us time slots to do that. Yeah, but look, it's in the Gibson, so I can't complain. It's a nice fancy room for us for the week.
Yeah, not too bad at all, not too shabby. I mean, does it bother you in any way, Danni, that you having to go in and do that? Does it take away from your weight cut or anything like that, or you don't really mind? You're just going to go and get through it.
So I definitely miss the dogs and miss the walks at home. But we have a gym here in Mullingar, so Alan has to come and quarantine with me. So it means both of us leave the gym, which is actually a good thing, because he's usually up to his eyes to the last minute before the fight. So I'm kind of pulling and dragging out with him for fight week, and then the gym is still going. So this way it's a good excuse to take the full week off because he has to quarantine. So it's good time for both of us just to focus on the fight, and the gym gets left in Mullingar.
Yeah, nice. And I guess you've come from Relentless Gym in Mullingar. That's correct. Yourself and Alan have done a lot of work. You've came over from a Muay Thai background into mixed martial arts. Is that correct?
Not me. Alan did. So he trained Muay Thai out in Thailand. Went over on 2 different occasions, and then opened up Relentless here in Mullingar before he met me. So it was Relentless Muay Thai initially, and then I come from a horse racing background, and I met Alan on Plenty of Fish, and he was fighting Muay Thai at the time, and I was just after having one amateur fight. So over the years, Relentless Muay Thai turned into Relentless Martial Arts. And
nice.
He's knee deep, or head, I don't know what you say, deep into MMA now. He sees there's a big future for our kids and stuff in MMA, and there's not a lot of money to be made in Muay Thai. So he's really open-minded about it.
Yeah, and how big of an influence has he been on your career in particular?
A lot, because people used to say that I was like Vanderlei Silva when I first started. Which I used to think was great, because sure, I didn't know.
No, it's not the worst. I think all worse myself. Yeah, it's not the worst comparison, I guess.
No, I was a bit wild and liked to go in throwing bombs and getting hit with bombs as well. So he spent a long time teaching me how to kick and how to be in kicking range and long distance and using feints and stuff. So to be honest, only in the last 12 months have I really seen that actually come through in my fights. It took a long time to get me out of the pocket.
Yeah, but, and I mean, Muay Thai is a style that is pretty much fought in the pocket. And I mean, was it a big adjustment for you to try and get the range is a big thing, and distance control in mixed martial arts as well. Like, was it a big adjustment for you to try and get to it? And you're probably still going through some adjustments as well right now.
Yeah, like I really needed to just go and learn how to do Muay Thai. Like I tried to learn how to strike for MMA, but it was just I wasn't getting good enough basics. So like we really worked on my balance and stance and being able to defend. Like that's a lot of what Muay Thai is like controlling the range and having really good balance and being able to like check and lean back and that kind of stuff. So it was hard. It took a long time, but now that I have those basics, we can do more MMA striking. I think a lot of MMA fighters just have a pad man or any kind of random striking coach telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing. When for me anyway, it was going back and actually learning a specific striking sport for a few years that really made the difference in my sparring fights and stuff.
Nice. And the fruits of the labor has been seen in your 4 fights. You're undefeated. You've been coming up against tough opposition, I'd have to say, early on in your career. Do you feel that has benefited you overall?
Yeah, absolutely. Like every opponent had pretty much double the amount of fights that I had, and a lot of wins as well. So yeah, even though, like looking back now, I always said at every fight when I got matched, in years to come, if I'm like top 10 in the UFC, I'll be saying to Alan, like, oh, do you remember when I was nervous about that girl that was like 3-1? So even though they are tough opponents, like on paper, in reality of where I want to be, I've got to be beating these girls. I don't want to get walkover fights and then I get a big shock when I come against a really good girl. So it's made me grow and develop, and I had to keep getting better to keep beating these girls. So I'm happy I got them.
You mentioned where you want to be, and you mentioned the UFC there. Where you are right now is in Bellator. Like, are the aspirations for you looking towards get the win on Friday, and you're looking ahead at the top 10 in the division, in the Bellator division right now? How do you feel that you match up with the women in the top 10 right now?
So the problem is they don't have a strawweight division in Bellator. So they put on one-off strawweight fights. The only 2 girls they actually have signed as strawweights is me and Kiara, and I've already beaten her. And we're actually like kind of friends now, so I don't want to keep fighting Kiara. So there's no belt, there's no division. Bellator have given me massive opportunities, and I've got another 2 fights after this one on my contract. So like I'm putting on exciting performances. They're paying me really well, and they're developing my career. So I'm really happy with them. But the reality is, if in another 12 months' time, if there isn't a belt developed, then I'll have to move on. I'm 31 now, and I want to be the best in the world. So just keeping fighting for Bellator and not getting a belt out of it, like becoming a world champion out of it, isn't something that I want to do. And I can't praise them enough. They've been so good to me. But we need to have a conversation about whether there's going to be a belt produced. Otherwise, after maybe 6 or 7 fights, I need to go somewhere there is a belt.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was going to ask you there. Has there been any talks whatsoever about maybe introducing the belt in 115 pounds? Or
other than the commentators saying when they're watching my fights that I'm the best in the strawweight division, I think that's kind of funny because I am the strawweight division. Yeah. So they seem to be pushing it. The commentators are on my side.
Right.
But no, as of yet, and historically, Bellator stick to their own divisions. Like they try not to clash with the UFC. They went with 125 and 145 before the UFC had the 145ers, and the UFC used to be just bantamweights and strawweights. So they took the 2 opposite divisions. So they don't seem to clash.
We're right back. Sorry, we just had some technical difficulties there. So we were speaking just about the landscape in Bellator. You said you had 2 fights left on your contract, Danny. So the plan is maybe to fight those fights out and then maybe go look for a fight somewhere else. You know, you say you want to go to the UFC. Would you be looking at maybe the Contender Series or something like that?
Yeah. So yeah, I have 2 fights left after this fight, and then sure we'll be in negotiations with Bellator. I guess I'm not really supposed to be saying that I want to jump ship, but you know, I want to be hanging with the best in the world, and you know that is in the UFC. So it's going to take definitely like an opportunity for a belt in Bellator to keep me after those fights. You know, that's the
that makes 100% sense. Like, I mean, yeah, you don't want to be just fighting these random fights, and yeah, you want to get that title. So like, it makes 100% sense, and I think it's fair for you to be wanting to look elsewhere if they're not willing to maybe create a title or create a division for you there. How are you excited to get in there against Audrey this weekend? We're going to be like a full capacity crowd in there. I know there's probably a busload of people coming up from Mullingar as well.
Yeah.
Is that something that excites you, fighting in front of a big audience and fighting in front of all your hometown support and stuff like that? Or is it something that maybe adds a little bit of pressure to the whole fight?
Like, it's definitely something I've gotten better at the more fights I've had. So my first fight, my first pro fight was in the 3 Arena, and I definitely felt like, oh God, you know, how many thousand people are out there? And I ended up getting moved to co-main event because I was one of the swing bouts. So what's his name? Richard Kiley got knocked out, and then I got slotted in right before James Gallagher. So the arena was like absolutely packed. It was hopping. So since then I've gotten like a lot more confidence, and I'm happy enough going up there with a full arena. And you know, I have great support here in Mullingar, and they're definitely not pressure. You know, they're so supportive. So I guess the more you win and the more confident you get, the more you realize that the support is actually support and it's not pressure. You know, they think I'm great doing what I'm doing, and you know, they all admire me and are very proud of me. So regardless of what happens, if I just go in and do the very best I can, I know I'm going to smash her. So I like that, kind of takes the pressure off.
Yeah, perfect. And I mean, that's your kind of prediction for this fight against Audrey Caruth. You think you're just going to go in there and smash her? Do you see this fight going all 3 rounds?
No, I don't. You know, she has got a lot of wins and a lot of losses. So when she loses, she generally gets stopped, submitted, or TKO'd. I think she's a bit wild, a bit erratic, and hasn't got like really good foundational skills. So she's got a couple of armbar wins. So I need to be careful when I take her down that I don't get caught in something stupid. And she's a little bit wild on the feet as well. So I just think once I get settled after 1 round, she's going to be very tired, and I think it's just going to fall into place for me. But look, there's not a huge amount of tape on her, and I'm expecting the best Audrey ever, you know, because it's her chance on the big show. Like, it's probably the best pay she's ever gotten for a fight. But to fight me, they always show up. I think, oh, grand, we're not frozen. Good.
Yeah, I know. I was panicking there too.
So I always like presume this is going to be their best they've ever performed because they're trying to impress Bellator, but that just riles me even more. Like, you know, I love a good fight, and I love someone coming to fight, but I just think we're different skill levels, and I should be able to finish her.
Would you think it'd be round 1, round 2, round 3, or do you care?
I don't really care, but it'll probably be round 2. Like, I'm quite disciplined now, not like my early days, so I don't go out, you know, swinging. And I usually just use the first round to make them really tired, and then once I come out my corner in the second round, I'm always really confident and warmed up then, and I know they're tired, and so I think like round 2 is kind of my deal. But I honestly, it doesn't bother me, you know, whenever she wants to go down, she can go down.
100%. And are you happy? You're obviously a well-rounded fighter. You have submissions under your name as well. Your work up at SBG, obviously, it's renowned for its Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. How important has that been in your work with John Kavanagh and just up at that gym in general, in kind of making you a more well-rounded fighter?
Yeah, so I always wanted to just strike when I first started. I had no background in anything when I started. I did everything together. And John constantly told me, your strength is just mowing people down. Like he said, you just shoot for the legs and you just keep going. And I didn't want to do that because I was nervous I'd be getting myself submitted. So it took, a lot of years for me to realize that he was right, that wrestling is my strength. My strength is my strength. So I have to wrestle and take people down. It's silly not to use it. So that means I have to be good at jiu-jitsu. It's like over the last 6 years, I'm definitely in the right gym. In terms of having a kind of a wrestling style in fights, I need to have good jiu-jitsu, and John's the man for that. 100%. And I've been working with Kieran Davern now down in SBG Tullamore as well. So I'm hoping that'll just keep progressing, because I know my future's got like black belt girls ahead of me, so I need to keep chasing that.
Yeah, there's two good guys that you want in your corner there, and Kieran and John, that's for sure. I'd just like to speak to you a little bit before I let you go. I won't keep you any longer before we freeze up again. I just want to talk to you about your work and your coaching with IMA. I know that you traveled over there to Prague to the World Cup earlier this year, and you do a lot of work with the cadets, and you do put in a lot of hard work outside of your own preparations for your own fights as well. So I'm just curious on what your opinion is on the Irish amateur setup right now in comparison to what it has been in the past, and the talent that's coming through, and especially for me, the talent that's coming through in women's MMA in Ireland right now, I think is pretty good, and it's probably the best it's ever been at.
Yeah, so I guess first of all, when I started off, women's MMA was really getting going in this country. Me and Sinead were the only two girls on the mat. Aisling Daly had already retired, or was just retiring as I was coming into SBG. And now, our mat in SBG is packed with girls. Like we have the pick of them. So it's really developed in the last, since I started in the last 6 years. I've just seen like this huge jump in the amount of women that want to do MMA. I got nearly all of my amateur fights, or I got all of my amateur fights actually abroad. I didn't fight once in Ireland, whereas now you have Cage Legacy and Clan Wars, and there is more girls around to match up with in Ireland. But I guess my big opinion on that would be, I always say to the girls in SBG, we don't need to be in wars with the other girls from the other gyms, or like super drama carry on that does be going on, especially among the amateurs. I think because there isn't still a huge pool of women, that we should be training together and fight all the English girls, because they're only 30 minutes on a plane. But at the moment, that's something I'm trying to develop. So I first started coaching with the cadets this year, and me and Alan were asked on to help with the cadets. And after that, I was asked to start developing the women seniors and juniors, and which was actually a lot more difficult than the cadets. Trying to get all the girls to come together and train together was a nightmare. And like, and people that showed up when they tried to kill each other. So
yeah,
it is. Anyway, it was a character building experience. So at the moment we haven't trained together in the last 2 months. I've been concentrating on the fight, but I'm not going to go down without a fight. I think we should all be friends, and we should be training together. And you're codding yourself if you think just going with the lads is going to be the same thing, because it's not. Girls are totally different. Flexibility, speed, intensity. We need to come together as a group of amateur and pro girls and train like once a month in any gym in Dublin or wherever. I don't care where it is. No politics, no drama. That needs to happen. next year.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I would have to agree with you there. I mean, there's no problem with a little bit of friendly rivalry, and friendly competition. But yeah, you don't want to be doing serious damage to each other in the gyms either. So I think it's very promising. I mean, I've been looking at a couple of the IMAF events and a couple of the Cage Legacy cards, and I think that the talent coming through is really good, and I'm really excited about the future of Irish women's MMA and just Irish MMA in general.
I know. I think when I'm long gone and all my teammates are long gone, we're going to be happy we're gone. When you look at the 12-year-olds, even the bloody 12-year-olds at the Cadet World Championships, like, that's scary, you know. So I'll be happy to be long gone when these people are of age.
Nice. Well, I won't keep you any longer, Danny. I really appreciate you taking the time and your patience today. We had a couple of technical difficulties and stuff. So if there's any sponsors, any shout outs that you'd like to give, and just you can tell everybody where they can find you on social media as well.
Yeah, so the main sponsor that I have at the moment, apart from my uncle, but he won't be watching this, is Ross Nutrition. Have been giving me my supplements every month, so big thank you to them. And please follow me, Dani Neilan, not Neilan. You can tell Sean, Dani Neilan.
Dani Neilan. You can tell him yourself. He'll be up there in Dublin himself and Andy, so you'll go up and call him out on that. Yeah, do.
So it's Danni Neilan on Instagram. Please follow me, because unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I understand it, but in the fight business, the more followers and the more people that know about you, the better, the more successful, or the quicker you'll be fast tracked. So please follow me. And finally, I'm a huge fan of you and Sean in particular. Sean's my favorite, but you're a close second.
Oh, thanks very much. I appreciate that. Jeez.
Anyone that's watching this on YouTube, buy the Patreon, because it's like the best well-spent fiver you'll ever spend. And you've got so much content, and you helped me through the weight cut. I've got loads to be listening to. So
lovely. And I appreciate that, Danny. Thanks so much. I mean, guys put in a lot of work there, and yeah, we always appreciate the support, and there's going to be plenty more content on the way as well. We're going to keep banging it out, and this will probably be up on Patreon as well, early access. So thanks so much again for taking the time. If you like what you hear, you go and follow Danny. You might even catch yourself and Alan do a few TikTok dances along the way as well. All the best. You can see Danny fighting next on the Bellator 270 prelims at the 3 Arena next Friday. You can watch it live on Virgin Media Sports. I believe the prelims may be available too on YouTube. So all the best to you, Danny. I'm looking forward to seeing you getting in there. Keep your undefeated streak, and all the best to you. And we'll definitely speak again down the line.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for having me. Thank you.